microsleep, tersengguk-sengguk, mata terkebil-kebil, kelop.
Issues faced by the Indian community will be acknowledged and addressed. Malaysia's gross domestic product expected to grow in the second half of 2023. Well, hello, good evening and salam Malaysia Madani. You're watching Malaysia Tonight with me, Muhammad Amin Carlos. Well, Young Diputan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Bilal Shah called on all Malaysians, especially the leaders, to appreciate and emulate the exemplary leadership of the late Tun Dr. Ismail Abdul Rahman in nation building. Comptroller of the Royal Household of Istana Negara, Major General Dato' Zahari Muhammad Arifin, said His Majesty also regarded Tun Dr. Ismail as an irreplaceable statesman. Well, Major General Dato' Zahari said Al-Sultan Abdullah also described the late statesman as one of the main figures in promoting national unity and playing a crucial role in strengthening harmony among the people of diverse races and religions. His Majesty acknowledged that throughout Tun Dr. Ismail's tenure as Deputy Prime Minister and a member of the Cabinet, he had displayed outstanding qualities of humility, integrity and a willingness to contribute to the country. Now, therefore, the King hoped that the deeds and sacrifices of the late Tun Dr. Ismail will not only serve as an inspiration and example for all Malaysians, but also be emulated by the community and political leaders for the prosperity and well-being of the nation. The Prime Minister, Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim, has assured that issues faced by the Indian community, especially related to hardcore poverty and education, will be addressed by the unity government. Elaborating further on the matter, the Prime Minister also acknowledged the lack of representation of Indians in the country and will discuss the matter with his deputy, Dato' Sri Dr. Ahmad Zahid Hamidi, and other party leaders in the unity government.
Let me have this 1 year. First, not talking about positions, I want to deliver the promise, particularly to the poor Malays, poor Indians, and the poor generally, of all races. That is my dream. I am too passionate about this. I've struggled decades fighting the authorities mainly to champion the cause of the poor. And now that I'm Prime Minister, I have to deliver.
Speaking in front of thousands of MIC members, the Prime Minister expressed his appreciation to MIC for their solid support towards the unity government, saying that it is his responsibility to reciprocate this support by show of respect to the Indian community in this country. The Health Ministry is currently in the process of obtaining at least 150,000 influenza vaccines this year. Well, according to its Minister, Dr. Zaliha Mustafa, this is following the Ministry's plan to implement influenza vaccination for all its staff this year.
Ya, influenza itu kalau kita juga dah pun merancang untuk memberikan kepada pekerja-pekerja kesihatan, khususnya the frontliners, dan kita tengah menunggulah, Dr. Anita, tengah menunggu untuk purchase influenza vaksin ini, insyaAllah.
Dr. Zaliha said this after officiating the Ministry of Health's Occupational Safety and Health Day celebration in Putrajaya today. Individuals who possess a motorcycle or motorcar driver's license will no longer have to go through a different theory test if they wish to obtain another license for a different vehicle class. Well, Transport Minister Anthony Logue said the new standardizations will come into effect on 15 September and would reduce license fees by RM100.
Sebagai contoh, seseorang yang sudah lulus ujian KPP 01 ataupun teori dalam lesen memandu motosikal tidak perlu menduduki KPP 01 untuk kali kedua apabila mengambil lesen memandu motorkar. Namun calon masih wajib menjalani latihan dan menduduki ujian KPP 02 praktikal di Lita dan KPP 03 praktikal di jalan raya secara berasingan apabila mengambil lesen memandu Malaysia motosikal dan lesen memandu motorkar.
Logue stated that the initiative aims to save time and costs to obtain a valid driving license in line with the government's intention to preserve the well-being of the people. He further said the merging method had been practiced in Malaysia previously before it was changed at some point, adding that the system would not affect the driver's level of competence. On another note, Anthony Logue said the Cabinet has approved the proposal to redevelop the Kuala Lumpur Central Station, or KL Central, to cater to the increasing number of commuters and traffic volume in the main public transportation hub. Now, the Transport Minister said the redevelopment of KL Central will involve the private sector with an estimated cost of over 1 billion ringgit.
Projek ini akan melibatkan satu perswastaan, iaitu tidak melibatkan implikasi kos kewangan kepada kerajaan. Pembangunan semula stesen itu yang dijangkakan akan mengambil ataupun dianggarkan melebihi kos 1 bilion ringgit akan ditanggung oleh pihak syarikat MRCB. Tetapi secara pulangannya, mereka akan mendapat air rights untuk membangunkan kawasan di atas stesen tersebut.
Logue said the original architecture of KL Central was for a capacity of only 100,000 passengers a day, but now it reaches 200,000 passengers daily. Hence, the current capacity is insufficient and needs redevelopment, including a high security. The Domestic Trade and Cost of Living Ministry, KPDN, will introduce the Baja, or rather fertilizer, Rahmah initiative soon in an effort to reduce the burden of farmers in the country. Its Deputy Minister, Fuzia Saleh, said the proactive measure aims to ease the financial burden on vegetable and oil palm farmers by reducing their planting costs.
Jadi saya sendiri sedang membuat libat urus dengan syarikat-syarikat yang boleh mengeluarkan baja yang baik dengan baja yang baik dengan harga yang bagus. Jadi inilah maksudnya baja Rahmah, dan insya-Allah libat urus tu dah sampai ke penghujung, tak lama lagi insya-Allah akan diumumkan.
The minister was met after launching the Payung Rahmah initiative by Pantai Selamat Group in Kuantan. Rain lashes Japan as Typhoon Kanun approaches. That and more coming up in our foreign segment, so stay tuned.
Ada kalanya dalam mendidik anak-anak, ibu bapa secara tidak sengaja berkelakuan pilih kasih dalam memberi kasih sayang atau perhatian. Zahirkan kasih sayang terhadap anak-anak. Jika perlu ditegur, tegurlah dengan kasih sayang.
Well, the foreign news. Well, a park in Beijing's Fangshan district where residents used to gather, dance and exercise is now flooded with plastic waste after China's capital was hit with its heaviest rains in recent days since records began 140 years ago. Now, the Beijing Meteorological Service said the maximum amount of rainfall recorded during the storm, which was 744.8 millimeters, occurred at the Wangjiayuan Reservoir in Changping. It was the heaviest rainfall in 140 years when Beijing records began. The largest volume previously recorded was 609 millimeters in 1891. A storm Doksuri, a former super typhoon, swept northwards over China after hitting southern Fujian province last week, following its battering of the Philippines. Well, heavy rains began pounding the typically dry capital and surrounding areas on Saturday. The amount recorded in just 40 hours neared the average rainfall for the entire month of July. Well, a powerful typhoon sweeping towards southern Japan on Tuesday triggered the cancellation of hundreds of flights, with officials urging hundreds of thousands of people to seek shelter. Typhoon Kanun was packing maximum sustained wind speeds of 180 kilometers an hour as it crossed the Pacific Ocean towards the Okinawa region. The Japan Meteorological Agency said the storm, which it described as, quote, very strong, unquote, was about 170 kilometers southeast of the regional capital of Naha. The center of the typhoon was expected to brush past Okinawa late Tuesday or early Wednesday before crossing to eastern China later in the week. Cities across Okinawa advised more than 760,000 people to leave their homes as the weather agency warned waves of up to 12 meters high could pummel the group of islands. The typhoon was expected to bring fierce winds and heavy rain. National broadcaster NHK reported more than 500 flights were cancelled on Tuesday, while regional ferry and bus services were suspended ahead of the typhoon. Well, the first of 3 planes carrying mostly French and European people evacuated from Niger landed in Paris early today, a week after a coup toppled one of the last pro-Western leaders in the Sahel. Now, French Foreign Minister Catherine Colonna told AFP that there are 262 people on board the plane, an Airbus A330, including a dozen babies. There were also Nigerians, Portuguese, Belgians, Ethiopians and Lebanese on board. A second flight carrying French, Nigerian, German, Belgian, Canadian, American, Austrian and Indian nationals was due to land. In the region's third military takeover in as many years, Niger President Mohamed Bazoum was overthrown by his own guard, sounding alarm bells in France, Niger's former colonial master and traditional ally. And after hostile crowds gathered on Sunday outside the French embassy in Niger accused France of plotting to intervene militarily, Paris said recently it would withdraw citizens and offered to evacuate other Europeans as well. Coming up in sports, Ziyong cruises to second round while Jin Wei crashes out at the Australian Open Championships. Well, the 2023 SEA Games gold medalist in the men's 400 meters, Umar Osman, continued to do a powerful run when he once again broke his national record at the World University Games in Chengdu, China today. The 20-year-old clocked 46.09 seconds to finish third in the third semi-final heat at the Xiangliu's Sports Center Stadium, thus qualifying him for tomorrow's final after finishing fourth overall. Australian athlete Reece Nathaniel Holder emerged the fastest runner in the semi-finals of the event after clocking 45.75 seconds, also in the third semi-final heat. Yesterday, Umar clocked 46.33 seconds in the qualifying round to finish in second place overall, thus breaking the national record of 46.34 seconds he set at the 2023 SEA Games in Phnom Penh last May. And on to badminton, national men's singles player Ng Ziyong easily got past the first round of the 2023 Australian Open Badminton Championships today after shrugging off the challenge from a Japanese player. In the first round action at the State Sports Centre in Sydney, Ziyong advanced to the second round after defeating Kanta Surayama 21-18 and 21-8 in just 39 minutes. The world's 21st ranked player will face either Japanese ace Kento Momota or the tournament's 7th seed from Indonesia, Jonathan Cressy, who will be playing in another preliminary round match. However, luck was not on the side of the national women's singles player Goh Jin Wei after being shown the exit in the first round when she lost to Akarshi Kashyap of India 15-21 and 17-21. The 23-year-old had previously suffered a series of disappointing first-round losses, starting from the 2023 Malaysian Masters in May, Indonesia Open in June, Korea Open and the Japan Open last month. National badminton legend Dato Sri Jayalani Siddique believes national professional men's singles champion Lee Zijia will bounce back from his current decline in performance. Well, he said only time will tell if Zijia will roar again on the court, considering that the 17th ranked player in the world has a good style of play. Elaborating further, the badminton legend said the former All England 2021 champion's decision to hire Wong Tat Ming as his coach in May after parting ways with his former coach Indra Wijaya from Indonesia last November was part of the process to return to the peak of success. Zijia once described Tat Ming as a local coach who has the necessary characteristics to help him realize his dream of chasing Olympic gold for the country at the 2024 Olympic Games in Paris. Tat Ming was one of the key figures who led the South Korean women's squad to the 2022 Uber Cup final at the Impact Arena in Bangkok last year. Zijia's performance was seen going downhill when he was eliminated in the first round for the fourth consecutive time, including losing to the defending champion from Japan, Kenta Nishimoto, 22-20, 17-21, 19-21 at the 2023 Japan Open last week. And about football, the national football team will gain valuable experience ahead of next year's 2023 Asian Cup finals when they face Syria and China in the two Tier 1 international friendlies in Chengdu, China in September. Besides taking on two teams ranked in the top 100 in the world, coach Kim Pangon's Harimau Malaya outfit will also be facing a different kind of challenge when they compete overseas for the first time in 7 months, having tasted 4 straight friendly victories on home soil previously. National football legend Dato' Jamal Nasir Ismail said the team will face many differences and challenges when playing away from home, and this, in turn, can reveal the true colours of the national players, especially with the Asian Cup finals in Qatar set to kick off next January. World number 136 ranked Malaysia will take on Syria on 6 September before facing hosts China on 9th September. Dato' Jamal Nasir, who was a member of the national team who qualified for the 1980 Moscow Olympics in Russia, said the national team must win their matches in China or at least put up a good performance and not be bullied. In the 2023 Asian Cup finals, Malaysia are drawn in Group E with two-time champion South Korea, Jordan and Bahrain. Coming up next in our business segment, residential real estate purchase is key to economic growth. Well, Malaysia's gross domestic product, or GDP, is expected to grow by between 4 and 5% in the second half of this year and by 4.5% for the full year. The Socio-Economic Research Centre Executive Director Lee Heng Gui said consumer demand would continue to be the key driver for the economy in the remaining months of this year, although the robust spending observed last year might not repeat. Nevertheless, Lee noted that the high base effects in the second half of 2022 would challenge the GDP performance in the second half of this year, with inflation risks remaining on the card and amid slower export growth due to a slowdown in global growth. He said the tracking of high-frequency data has shown that the Malaysian economy has moderated in recent months, especially demand for exports, while consumer spending has normalized. Lee further said that Malaysia still has a stable labour market condition in which the unemployment rate is at about 3.5%, and that helps to support and make sure consumer spending will not fall sharply but just grow at a slower pace. Lee also expected consumer spending to grow between 4.5 and 5% in the near term, while inflation averages below 3%, most likely at 2.8%. Well, residential real estate purchases are key to economic growth, with Malaysian home buyers contributing an estimated 42.5 billion ringgit to the economy last year. Well, according to Juwai IQI, the number is equivalent to about 2.7% of Malaysia's 2022 GDP of 1.79 trillion ringgit. Now, the Real Estate Technology Group co-founder and CEO Kashif Ansari said the 42.5 billion ringgit of economic benefits represent only part of the full impact of the entire housing sector. Now, this is because it leaves out the tens of billions of ringgit that materials production, property management, rental property, maintenance and renovation and other real estate activities add to the economy. It also leaves out the value of the real estate itself. Kashif said that among Kuala Lumpur, Selangor, Johor and Pulau Pinang, the benefit of home purchases is largest in Selangor, with a contribution of 3.1% of GDP. In Johor and Pulau Pinang, the benefits to GDP are relatively high at 2.9% and 3% respectively, while Kuala Lumpur saw the least contribution to GDP at 1.7%. Juwai IQI used the statistical method developed by the economists at the United States National Association of Realtors to estimate how much Malaysian home buyers add to the economy. Malaysian national oil company Petroleum Nasional Berhad, or better known as Petronas, is among the region's top 10 cash holders, which collectively held $532 billion, or 40% of the total Asian cash balance in 2022. Well, according to Moody's Investors Service, Petronas has been accorded A2 rating with a stable outlook. Now, besides Petronas, the other 9 companies comprise 7 from China and 1 each from South Korea and Taiwan. Petronas, as well as 3 major Chinese national oil companies, namely China Petrochemical Corporation, China National Petroleum Corporation, and China National Offshore Oil Corporation, are the only 4 oil and gas or ONG-based companies in the top 10 cash holders. Moody's said together they held 86% of the ONG sector's cash balance at the end of 2022. Moody's explained that these companies maintain high cash balances through the ONG price cycle, which reflects their strong liquidity and prudent financial policies. The international credit rating company also said a high cash balance provides a buffer against industry cyclicality and allows the company to act quickly on potential acquisition opportunities. Moody's also revealed that the technology, media and telecommunications, ONG and property sectors dominate the region's cash pile. The Selangor State Development Corporation, or PKNS, today signed a Memorandum of Understanding, or MOU, with Agro Bank in the agency efforts to provide a variety of financing offers to entrepreneurs under the PKNS Biz Club program. The MOU, involving an offer of 25 million ringgit in entrepreneur financing over a 2-year period, was signed by PKNS CEO Dato Mahmud Abbas, while Agrobank was represented by its president and CEO Dato Tengku Ahmad Badli Shah Raja Hussein. Dato Mahmud said about 50 companies will receive benefits with a maximum allocation of 500,000 ringgit per financing.
Agrobank has come forward that they will be able to loan money to qualified entrepreneurs to not only develop their products to a different level, but to also to be able to hopefully export these products overseas. So the products that we are looking at are in the food and agriculture products, of which a lot, I think more than half of the entrepreneurs within the PKNS development is in this area of business.
He added the cooperation that will be handled by the PKNS Entrepreneur Development Division, or BPU, will benefit around 8,000 entrepreneurs and individuals who are under the agency's umbrella, in addition to helping them open business networks. BPU is also looking for opportunities to explore foreign markets and bring selected entrepreneurs and their products to the international level, such as Indonesia and Hong Kong. And on to the world economy. The Eurozone's gross domestic product, or GDP, grew by 0.3% in the second quarter of 2023 compared to the previous one, according to a flash estimate published recently by Eurostat. That's the Statistical Office of the European Union, the EU. Now, the EU's GDP in the second quarter of 2023 remained stable as compared with the previous quarter, and it increased by 0.2% during the first quarter of the year. The GDP of Germany, EU's largest economy, grew at 0 in the second quarter. But Collins, a senior economist for the Eurozone at the global financial institution Internationale Nederlanden Group, or ING, warned that the active performance brought by Europe's economic resumption after the COVID-19 outbreak has gone, and economic performances vary greatly from country to country. Well, according to him, the economic activity in the Eurozone is going through a sluggish phase as a result of high inflation, weak global demand, and monetary tightening. In Germany, France, Italy, and Spain, EU's major economies, inflation in July was 6.5%, 5%, 6.4%, and 2.1% respectively. Meanwhile, according to the head of the bank, Christine Lagarde, the outlook for the Eurozone economy shows a deteriorating trend, and the rate of inflation, despite its recent decline, is still expected to remain high overall. Global central banks purchased 387 tons of gold in the first half of this year, or H1, a record high since the year 2000 when the records began. Now, the World Gold Council's latest gold demand trends report shows global gold demand in H1 climbed 5% to 2,460 tons, and among them, the central bank's purchase was reported at a record high of 387 tons. Now, bar and coin demand, meanwhile, amounted to 582 tons, while gold jewelry consumption hit 951 tons. A Chinese expert says this suggests that the global gold market remains sound. Well, according to the report, China's demand for gold bar and coin jumped by 33% year-on-year to 115 tons, making up roughly 20% of the global total. Developed economies, including Singapore and European Union, have replaced developing countries as major gold buyers, Wang noted. And the Chinese expert added that the increase in gold reserves of major central banks worldwide mainly resulted from major changes in the overall political and economic situation as well as geopolitical crisis. It's also part of efforts to diversify foreign exchange reserves. The report also noted that the first half of 2023 also reported a combined gold mine production of 1,781 tons, 2% higher than the previous record set in 2018. Coffee chain giant Starbucks beat analysts' estimates and recorded a rise in profit for its third quarter, the company said recently. And Starbucks' bottom line came in at $1.14 billion or 99 cents per share. Now, this compares with $912.9 million or 79% in last year's third quarter. Excluding items, Starbucks reported adjusted earnings of $1 per share for the period. Analysts on average had expected the company to earn 95 cents per share, according to figures compiled by Thomson Reuters. Analysts' estimates typically exclude special items. Now, the company's revenue for the quarter rose 12.5% to $9.17 billion from $8.15 billion last year. Well, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, or CPEC, has achieved remarkable results in the past decade, improving infrastructure and benefiting the local people. Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif of Pakistan said that the construction of the Economic Corridor has profoundly changed the economic and social landscape of Pakistan. While commenting further, Shahbaz said that Pakistan is willing to learn from China's development experience, deepen Pakistan-China cooperation in various fields to benefit the two peoples. Meanwhile, Pakistani Senator Mushahid Hussain Said, who is also chairman of the Pakistan Senate Defense Committee and the Pakistan-China Institute, said the best of CPEC as the cooperation between China and Pakistan is on the right side of history and is moving towards a better tomorrow for Asia. Now, as a flagship project under the Belt and Road Initiative, CPEC has made milestone achievements in promoting high-quality development of the two countries since its establishment, giving prominence to energy, transportation and industrial cooperation, which has created over 230,000 jobs by the end of 2022. Well, Hussain hailed cooperation between China and Pakistan, saying that the CPEC has been drawing a big picture for the future of Asia. And that wraps up Malaysia Tonight. A reminder of our top story. Issues faced by the Indian community will be acknowledged and addressed. I'm Muhammad Amin Carlos. Malaysia Madani, Tekat Perpaduan, Penuhi Harapan. Have a pleasant evening.